They say that patience is a virtue, and I've been waiting quite a long time for what is in this box. It's already slightly open, so it's not a full opening, but as you can see, it's the Evercade VS Founder Edition. Now, I pre-ordered this back in May. It's one of 5,000, and it's taken a while to get here. There's been some delays along the way, problems with shipping, things like that, but it is now here. So let's open the box and see what's inside. Now, like I said, in the interest of full disclosure, I did have a little play on this. It came a couple days ago, but here we are. Look at that, there we go. Founder Edition. The very nice box on the front. I'm just gonna crack this open. So, looks like we're gonna slide this bad boy out. There we go. Pop you just to one side. Don't need you anymore. You can go. We don't need you, cardboard box. This is the box we need. So here's the front of the box there. Got a nice kind of blueprint style of the Evercade VS console. And we're going to crack it open and have a look and see what's inside this Evercade VS Founder Edition. Now, I don't want to damage the box, so I better keep this kind of nice and safe and careful. Here is the front of the console. So you'll notice some fingerprints on the front. Unfortunately, this thing is a bit of a magnet for fingerprints. That was when I was setting it up and moving it about and getting it back in this box, strangely. So here is the console itself. Just going to pull this out nice and gently. It's quite a snug fit. And here we go. That is the front, dual cartridge system. Evercade VS. Sadly, already got fingerprints all over it, but as you can kind of tell, it just eats those up for breakfast. And here we go. Here's the inside. The dual cartridge slot, so you can put 2 Evercade carts in this at any one time. 4 controller ports on the front, 4 USB controllers. This comes with 2 USB controllers for the Evercade, but it will also accept any range of USB controllers, particularly like Xbox 360 ones, or some of the 8-bit do ones, things like that. Pop that back down. On the back, got a HDMI port, a little button here that will reset the console if it kind of freezes or anything like that. I haven't had that happen to me yet. And then this is for the power adapter. Now, one thing to bear in mind, if you do buy an Evercade VS, one of the regular ones, it won't come with a HDMI cable, and you get the adapter, but you don't get the actual power brick that comes with it. So in my case, I had just this one. In my case, I had this one here. Just had to supply my own, but sadly it doesn't come with its own. So if you are going to get one for Christmas for anyone, then bear that in mind. And then there's the little power switch. The first time you use it, you might be surprised if you click it, nothing will actually happen. You need to kind of hold it down for a couple seconds, and then the console will boot up. And this front little bit just by here, that will light up in various colours, which is pretty cool. And then that colour bar will be on, and that'll be when the Evercade's actually working. So I'll pop the console to one side, and let's have a look at what comes underneath. So here we go. We got a quick start guide, just a little manual, things like that. Haven't had to use this yet. It is pretty straightforward. It's a pretty straightforward console. It is essentially plug and play. We've got the Evercade VS link cable instructions. So this comes with a link cable that will connect the handheld Evercade to the home console version. I haven't had a chance to test that because I don't actually own the handheld version of the Evercade. I'm not a huge handheld gamer, and I decided to, when I heard the announcement of the Evercade VS, I decided to wait on the console and give that a whirl. So I don't have the handheld, so I can't test that out. But you get this pretty neat poster. Let's open that, it's quite big actually. And that's got a lot of the front covers, or the arcade posters for a lot of the games that are included. That's pretty neat, pretty cool. And then on the next bit below, we've got this, this is like a steelbook tin, a Founders Edition Evercade VS steelbook tin. And we'll see what we've got in here. It's quite, there we go, quite tightly packed in there. So There's some spots here that you can put your cartridges in, so you can kind of take them to a mate's house, carry them around a little bit easier, don't have to bring all the boxes, or just bring the like loose cartridges, which I don't think anyone really likes doing. We've got a little cute little keyring here that shows the Evercade VS controller. That's quite nice. We've got, these are a bit like schematics, but like blueprints, like a CAD design for the controller and the console. So they're pretty neat. And then the other bit we've got is the certificate of authenticity. Check that out. That's signed by a lot of the people behind the Evercade, which is Blaze Entertainment, based here in the UK. Just a nice little extra. Some of these, nice little extra bonus little pieces. So we'll keep that all safe and contained. So we'll go to our next layer. It's a bit like an onion, this. It's a bit like peeling it back and seeing what you get. And here we've got some of the games. So let me put some of my layers to one side. So here we have our first set of games. So if you bought the Founder Edition, it comes with 6 different cartridges. 4 of them are the arcade cartridges, which are new releases. Everything up until this point has been console based. So now we've got these cool arcade ones. There's Data East, there's Technos, and then on the next layer we've got Atari and Galco, which is a cool kind of Spanish based company. So a lot of games on there I haven't had a chance to sample yet, so that's quite exciting. And then there's another layer, and this one is 2 of the new releases from the standard range. You can see the difference actually. These new arcade cartridges come with the purple covers, whereas the standard Evercade games you get the red cover to go with them. So we've got the Intellivision collection and the Bitmap Brothers collection. The Bitmap Brothers, quite a famous British game creator from back in the day, back in the late 80s, early 90s. So they come with quite a nice case. If you open one up, you get the cartridge inside, and you get a full colour manual, which is always a nice little aspect of the Evercade, is you do get these full colour manuals that tells you a little bit about the developer. It tells you about each game, you get the game controls, and it's just a nice, you get little hints and tips and tricks. It's just a nice overall package, especially in a time where things like manuals and even having physical games and game cases has really kind of started to go out the window. It's nice that someone is kind of producing things of this quality still. So that's really nice. And if you want to see the actual cartridge itself, they're all like this, so they're quite dinky little things. Bit bigger than maybe a Game Boy game, a little bit thicker. And then on the console they'll just kind of slot in. And you can put 2 in at any one time to get quite a big range of games up in some cases, depending on which ones you've got inside. So on to what I think is the last layer, and that is where you get, now because I've already played this a little bit, I've taken one out already, but it's where you get the 2 controllers. So I've got the other one here that is ready to get going. The red cable here is the link cable for the handheld, and then additionally it does come with that cable for power, and like I said, you just pop that into a power plug, a power brick, and you'll be all good to go. I've got the other controller here, so I'll keep that one there just for the moment, although that will be getting played with pretty soon. Here is the Evercade controller, Founder Edition. It's pretty nice. It's a pretty nice controller. Like the buttons, pretty responsive. The D-pads, quite nice and easy to use. You've got start and select. This brings up the kind of Evercade menu when you're in the games. And then there's L1, R1, L2, R2. They're quite clicky. Not a lot of the games that I've tried so far use these, so it'd be interesting to see. And they've been used quite a lot, how resilient they are. But yeah, they're quite stiff and clicky initially. I do like the controller. The only thing I would probably change It's just in terms of the colours, I think it could pop a little bit more, it could be a bit brighter, so maybe I wish they maybe made this line like a bright red or something, because then it would go with the actual console's kind of colour scheme when the power bar is on, and you get that red light on that one. So this is everything you get. So it's quite a package, and it retailed for £160, which I thought was a pretty good deal considering that the cartridges themselves tend to be about £15, and the console was retailing for around 90 to 100, 110 maybe, depending on which set you bought, how many cartridges you wanted to come with it. So what I'm going to do is get the TV set up and hook up the Evercade, and I'm going to show you how it all looks when it's on. Okay, so this is what you're going to see when you first boot up the Evercade VS and you've put in your Wi-Fi settings and you've got all your initial updates done. It's a pretty quick process, only takes a few minutes really. So there's no cartridge inserted at the moment. I'll get onto the cartridge in a second. I'm just going to run through all the different settings that the Evercade VS offers. So on the VS there's plenty of different settings that you can tweak and mess about with and have a play around with. There's display settings, you can change the aspect ratio, you can have either the original ratio, you can have it a little bit smaller but it'll be pixel perfect and it'll look kind of exactly as it should look. Or you can go onto full screen, which I don't think many people would choose to use, but if you do want to use it, it's there for you, but obviously it will really stretch out the picture, and I tried it on Worms Armageddon on the Worms cartridge, and it was not a good look, not a good look. After that there's shaders and scan lines, so you can add kind of subtle or strong scan lines onto the game screen, and it'll kind of recreate that CRT old school 1980s 1990s look on the screen. I haven't really used them myself. I've dabbled with the subtle one a little bit, but it's not something I'm kind of hugely invested in, but I know a lot of people do quite like adding the scan lines to get a bit more of an authentic old school look. There's bezels that you can play around with, so a lot of the time I do have these off because I quite like just having the black bars and not having anything that distracts me from the actual game image. You can have the VS, the Versus bezel, which is a bit like the background of the current theme. There's the Evercade Origin one, which is mostly a dark one with some lightning bolts, so that's not too bad. There's a wireframe one, which is so subtle you might not even be able to see it in that little picture there, but it's essentially a black background with some grey grid lines. I quite like that one, that's quite a nice one to have. And then there's a few here at the bottom which are a bit more colourful, so they're not really to my liking, but there's a loft one, which is kind of like a gamer's den with posters and controllers and this and that. There's a Logo Legends bezel, which has some of the logos for different companies and different compilations on the Evercades, so stuff like the Atari Lynx or Pico Interactive, things of that nature. And then there's a box art one, which shows off some of the different box arts of some of the games, whether it's arcade posters or old school game front cases. But fun them mostly. I usually turn them off, but they are there if you need them, or if you like them. The scan lines as well, you can extend that to the menu, and you can have a slightly older looking menu in effect. So in terms of the theme, we're on the VS Classic at the moment, which I think looks pretty nice. There's also a light theme and a dark theme. I've tried out the light theme. That's was better than I was expecting. I thought it'd be too bright, but I quite enjoyed it. They all come with this kind of synthy music you can probably hear in the background, which I think is a really nice touch and gives it that kind of retro, old school vibe that I think the guys were going for when they created this. You can mess with the sound settings, that's pretty self-explanatory. There's network settings, so the Evercade VS has built-in Wi-Fi, and that's how you get kind of updates and things like that. At the moment there isn't any kind of online gaming or online aspect to things, but there are new features that are going to be in the pipeline, is my understanding, and the updates will let you get some of these new features. Stuff like possibly like online multiplayer or leaderboards or maybe achievements have all been discussed, so we'll see what they do come out with as time goes by. I know initially there'll be some new themes and probably some new bezels and things like that they're going to release as time goes by. There's an accessibility section, so this is for people who are, let's say, colorblind or have some kind of other disability like that you can toggle the high contrast mode. I'll put it on here, and it just makes everything in these kind of easier to tell apart colors. So I think that's quite a nice touch, and it doesn't look that bad. It's almost like an extra theme in a sense. I don't think it looks too bad at all. So yeah, not too shabby. There's a range of different languages you can choose from. So there's 7 different languages. They've all been included. In the system, this is where you check for your updates. So we're up to date at the moment, firmware 2.0.1. You can factory reset the console if you need to do that for whatever reason. And as well, you can map the controllers. So the Evercade will support third-party controllers, so stuff like an Xbox 360 controller or an 8-bit do one. And in here you can go in, plug in your controller, and then map the buttons as you see fit. So I think that's a really handy feature, and I've got an Xbox 360 controller that I'm meaning to plug in and give that a little play around with and see just exactly how well that works. You map the controllers per all of the games, so at the moment you can't map the controllers for each individual game. I don't know if that's something that they will create down the pipeline. It would be cool if you could save your settings per game and it knew what controller you'd put in, but for the time being it's a one-size-fits-all type situation, so we'll see how that develops as well. But at the very least it's really cool that it is there. Illegal and sports, that's just legalities and credits and things like that, copyrights. And speaking of credits, you can look up the Evercade credits, and if you were a founder you had a chance to submit your name for the credits, and it's not just on the Founders Edition, it's on every version of the Evercade VS they make, so you can scroll down and you can find yourself here in the credits, which is a pretty cool, pretty nice feature. I found myself in there, but yeah, good stuff that. And then the last bit of this menu is the secret section, so you can actually enter different secret codes, and depending on the code you enter, you might unlock a hidden game. There are different games you can unlock. Some of them depend on what cartridge you've got slotted into the console. Some of them I know you don't need to have a cartridge in at all. So it's a really cool, interesting feature that they've put into this. And I won't reveal any of the secrets right now. You can look them up if you want to. But yeah, you can really unlock some interesting stuff with this. So it'd be interesting to see how this develops as well, because they could be all manner of extra codes for various things that they might unlock in it. It definitely helps add to that retro feel, and it gives it that old school kind of vibe of putting in a code and you don't know what you're going to get, and you don't know what you're going to unlock. So that's a pretty cool feature for sure. So without any further ado, let's have a look at the cartridges themselves once they're inserted. What I'll do just quickly, I'll turn the accessibility off, so you can see, here you go, this is the core menu system. I've got a couple cartridges here, so I'll slot these in. Pop the first one in, and you get that kind of little noise, that little sound effect there, as if you actually had inserted the cartridge into like an old school Super Nintendo or an N64 or something, which is a nice touch. We've got the Codemasters collection number 1 here, so 17 games, and I really like the interface for this console. It looks really cool. I love all the box arts, or in terms of the arcade games, some of the arcade like posters, promotional posters that they use in place of kind of a physical box art. So 17 games here. At the moment they're sorted by title, but if you press the Y button you can sort them by release date. So Ultimate Stuntman here is 1990, and Super Skid Marks, the latest one, 1995. You can also sort them by players, so 4 players going down to 1. And then if you put in another cartridge, so I'm going to insert the Worms cartridge now. And there we go, and you can see in the top left corner it's recognised that. You don't have to turn the console on or off to put cartridges on or out. It's hot swappable essentially. And now it knows there's the Worms cartridge and the Codemasters cartridge. And you'll see towards the bottom the X button has appeared and it's saying show all. And this is how you can filter in between the cartridges if you want to as well, which is quite a handy feature. So there's all the Codemasters games, and then the Worms cartridge only has a few games on it, and it doesn't leave any like dead space, any blank space. It literally fills the screen, and you get all 3 titles with kind of like a big poster effect, which I think is quite nice. So without any further ado, we'll pick a game and we'll have a little look how they play. So we'll go for a classic, Sensible Soccer. And this is the screen you're presented with when you go to pick a game. So you get a little description of the game, you get the release date or the year, the genre, the amount of players, and kind of crucially, you get the controls. And I think that's really, really useful and really, really handy to, at a glance, before you play, you can just see like, oh, this is how the game should be played. So you don't have to kind of figure it out for yourself or try and look in the instruction manual. You can just refer straight to this. So that's really, really useful and really handy. And one other thing that's handy is the last save button. So you don't have to start up the game and then find your latest save state if you want to just dive back into where you were. And at the moment I've got a club campaign going on Sensible Soccer, a club league where I'm playing as Dublin. So if I want to dive back into that, I can. So I'll tell you what, we'll show you that straight away. Why not? And there we go. I'm straight back in just like that into my Pringles Super League that I've created here. So there's like no waiting around. I mean, the loading time then was about a minute long, something like that, and you're straight back into the game. And once you're in the game, there's even more options. So you can quick save, you can load your last save, you can save or load individual files. So you get up to 6 slots, and that's per game. So you get a lot of flexibility here of what you can do. Equally, you can check the controls again, so that's really handy. And in certain games like Sensible Soccer or some of the Worms games, you can change the layout to better suit how you'd like to play the game. So that is really useful as well. And then those display settings, you don't need to be back on the main menu to do those. You can literally do them in game, and you can just play around with it to your heart's content. So if you want to be in the game and you want to turn on, let's say, the logo Legends bezel, you want to have strong scan lines, you want to make it pixel perfect, you can do that, and then just go out, and here we go. You can just have it exactly as you want it without any fuss. It's a really handy system, and it's very quick, so you can play around with it and just find what you like. So yeah, I'm really digging it. I'm really, really liking it. So we'll pop it all back, and what I'll do is I'll quit the game just to show how quick again it is. So if you want to quit the game, and now if you want to play it as if I've never played it, you can dive right in. And here we go. Nice and easy, nice and easy. It's all very smooth. The emulation is very quick to load up. I haven't had any problems with any of the games so far, and that's with me diving into this menu, diving out of the menu, diving into the menu, diving out, which, you know, in some cases can cause some problems, but with this it's been smooth sailing so far. So I'll just show you a little bit of how some of these games work. So we've got Sensible Soccer, an all-time classic. So we'll just dive in and play a little friendly game. We'll put it in the summer, have a nice summer game. So plenty of teams to choose from. We'll go with I think I'll go Estonia? Yeah, we'll go Estonia. And we'll take on Turkey. Okay, so play the match. All set to go. So I'll just show you how it works when you're actually in the game. As you can see, everything is really quick, really smooth. There's no waiting around. It's the real deal. Okay, Turkey to kick off. But yeah, here we go. Ooh, close. Yeah, it's all really, really smooth, really like easy to play. There's no problems essentially. If this is what you're looking for, something that can really replicate that retro game feel, the Evercade can do it. I'd love to score a goal here, but we'll see. I just want to give you a flavour of what's on offer essentially. Oh, it's close. It was close. Sensible Soccer as well, definitely one of the best games on the Evercade in my opinion, from the Codemasters collection. There's some really good games on that collection. Stuff like Psycho Pinball, Stuff like B52, Super Skid Marks is decent as well once you kind of got to get used to the controls. But yeah, it's just a really fun, easy to play game, but like slightly tricky to master. And yeah. So overall, I've really enjoyed my time with the Evercade. I've been playing it kind of on and off across the past few days, and it is a really good console. And I'm hoping for just more big releases coming from it. More people getting on board, more indie cartridges and things of that nature, kind of newer releases that have that indie, retro kind of feel. Things like Xenocrisis and some of the stuff in the Indie Heroes cart. And I'm just hoping for big things from the Evercade as 2022 is right around the corner. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.